Dear friends, I'm Andrey Hovratov. I'm a partner of IS Systems and SKYWAY String Technology of Unitsky. And also I'm a professional investor and author and creator of educational internet project Academy of Private Investor. And I want as a professional investor to express my view on valuation of IS Systems company. Because a huge number of people write me on the Skype. Andrey, a new company started up. What you can say about this company? So now I want to define which criteria I use to rate this company and what it is for investment. So, the first main moment by which I rate any company and offer that comes to me is company transparency. If company has full transparency, it is possible to talk directly with the company director. I haven't got acquainted with the company, talked to the person who introduced me to this company, and I asked, it is possible for me as for professional investor to talk with the head of this company, Unitsky? Yes, it is possible. Next day we have already talked, and I've asked some questions, but before talking I've already found out where the company is registered, which authorized capital it has, and if it corresponds with what the company claims. Really, I was pleasantly pleased by all moments that are not hidden. There are a huge amount of videos on YouTube. Now I will talk how the company can be checked. Full transparency is very cool, great virtue. I estimate it on 5-point scale on 5. The second main thing, it is direct investment. That is, we make direct investment to the company, neither through brokers or through the stock exchanges. When a secondary market of shares takes place after the IPO, it is called the secondary shares market. There, we through brokers, through the exchanges get it. Here, investments are going directly into the company where the assignment of parts is taking place. That means the owner of the company, Unitsky Anatoly Eduardovich, in our case, assigned the part represented in shares, and shares go accordingly to numbers. It is very important for me as for private investor because I propagandize that it is necessary to make direct investments into the company. It is much more advantageous, much more reliable. The third main moment, these are investments into know-how and investments into technologies of new type of transport, new generation of transport. It's just great, we've read about it only in books. Recently I sent to my mom to read about it. Mom says that in her childhood she read in books that such roads there will be in the future and we will be able to go 500 kilometers per hour, so cross distances 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers in a few short hours. We stand with you right now on the verge of all these innovations. So the third point is that we invest in know-how that is associated with the transport technologies. It is all just a wonderful plus, and I estimate it by 5. That means that I estimate it on 5-point scale on 5. The fourth is registration in the protected territory. Try to understand, dear friends. For example, for beginning investor or the investor without the experience in this field or not the investor at all, it is very important if we invest in the company that was registered in the country with high protection of the private capital. If we talk about our countries, the former post-Soviet countries, as soon as the company comes to a certain good level, then president of country can take this company or its children can pick it up, or relatives. That is so. Let's say, as it should be for some reason in our countries, no one even resists. If someone resists, he can be put up somewhere to think. Therefore, if we invest in the company that is in the future plans to take 30–50% of the transport market, it is desirable that this company would be in the protected area. And Britain is the country #1 by protection of the private capital and by reliability that my investments really won't be taken away by any oligarch or any head of the country. So it's very important for you as for private investor, for me as for private investor. And here I also give 5 because as I can see the company is big enough, and if this company will be opened in Britain, then I immediately give it 5 because it's just great. The fifth important point is the crowd financing, my dear friends. The company chose the principle of crowdfinancing. It didn't take venture capital funds, it didn't take other brokers of investment companies, it didn't use oligarchical money or money of big financial sharks who could later manage or redeem this technology, would tell us we don't need it. There is not enough metal, there will be cheap tickets, it will be very good for people, we don't need it, we will freeze it as it done in the main, right? Here it happens that the company has chosen such a crowdfinancing, and here we can quickly and with mobility invest necessary funds. And the most important moment, that at the end we will talk about dividends. This is receiving of dividends in the future, so let's say it is the future of your children, your grandchildren. And that's why the fifth thing that I want to give 5 on 5-point scale is the company has taken the scheme of crowdfinancing. The sixth moment is dividends, receiving of dividends. And I talked to Anatoly Eduardovich, I was pleasantly surprised that the project payback, if to take for example 500 kilometers of the road or 1000 kilometers of the road, then the payback occurs approximately in 5 years. In transport systems, it's just fantastic, because it's an advantage about 20% of annual interest. When we talked about some transportation, it can be even from 20% to 100% of annual interest. What does it mean? It means that in case of a certain amount of invested funds, we as shareholders and as co-owners of the company can participate in redistribution of profit with profitability from 20 to 100% of annual profitability of the company. So, if to talk about automobile company today, it is possible to get no more than 5–7%. And such a powerful company like Boeing or Facebook, as it is said, or other companies, well, they give about 12–15%. If the company gives a maximum of 20% of dividends, it is great. Basically, speculative gives on the market not because he receives dividend, but due to the fact that shares are rising in the price. Today you bought for $10 and tomorrow you sold for $20. If we become an investor of any big directions, it is receiving of dividends. And the main problem to know how much of dividends I would receive, because if I bought share, for example, for $1,000 and dividends are just $1 a year, then why do I need such a share? Who knows, maybe later it will cost $1,200, it's great. And if it will not cost $1,200? That's why I am, as a private investor, interested also how much of dividends will I receive, and dividends can be quite very high. It is also important point, and the sixth item is 5 points. The seventh point is the construction of so-called polygon, store that sells this technology. It is needed to build a plant, and the first facilities are gathering for this, to build this, the polygon, the store to sell this technology, where an investor comes and looks at 30 kilometers of high-speed transport, 3 kilometers of cargo transport, local transport, and so we can even generate orders already. And of course we get the question, where will be the polygon then? Will it be in Russia, in Kazakhstan, in Ukraine? Maybe it will be in Europe. Of course, headquarters will decide it, but I'm sure talking to Anatoly Eduardovich I understood one thing, that again it will be in a country with a high protection of the private capital. And there, where we do not have business competition, but there, where there is a need. And even more, the government will give dotation on such directions to do everything faster, because they need it. The construction of the polygon store is also one of the important factors in the 7th paragraph. And let's say it will be in a country with a high protection of private capital. And the 8th point, dear friends, is growth of shares. Some people said, but really, when it will be in 3 years, if the IPO of the company will cost £1 or £2 or £3? Dear friends, I want to say that by numbers that I get from Anatoly Eduardovich. It's an open access and anybody can get it and read it on the website of Unitsky. I figured the company plans out for the next 20 years, and if it will be realized even on 30%, I assure you that the share during 10–20 years from today's date of 2014 year can approximately cost about £100 per share. So you can calculate capitalization by yourself, and you will see that it can be for you, for your children, and for your grandchildren. That is my subjective opinion as a professional investor about this direction, about this investment. Negative moment is if there are any risks. Yes, there are risks. The risk is, and here I again get after conversation with Anatoly Eduardovich, that the main risk is commercial. Commercial risk is that we cannot collect the necessary sum of money in those stages of founding that are needed. So, if we don't get enough money, then there's a risk. All other risks, it simply doesn't exist. So, dear friends, make a decision, and what kind of decision you will make, it is your decision. But think about your future, about your kids, grandkids, because in the future you will be able to pass your capital's funds in the form of shares of the company RSW Systems. Bye-bye.